snatch grip deadlift. The first bit is going to be your hand width. It needs to be where your knee can make it to horizontal with your arms straight. This one, fantastic at working your posture. You will not be able to lift heavy on this because it's all down to your thoracic, your shoulders, grip, strength, your low back, all the weak spots on a deadlift. So the idea for this is just make sure you got that grip, brace fully, push through the legs, squeeze your butt forward, and then smooth on the way down. So really focusing on those weak spots. Weak spots, particularly being how rounded your back might be. There will be a little bit on these snatch grip deadlifts, that's fine. Just don't want it really excessive. Elevate it to how you need. So you can see me on here, hopefully there's pretty straight. Not too sure, it's probably a little bit bent. But that position feels quite comfortable for me. Now down here on the ground, you should be able to see my back's a little bit more rounded, so that no matter what I do, I don't have that mobility. So figure out what feels good for you, and then that should work out well. Wide grip, and again, you will need to go lighter. It works the hardest parts of your deadlift. Now we have the back squat. Now the whole idea of this is depth. That's what we need. Keep your torso like one rigid solid block. To do that, come underneath, find that good spot, comfortable across your traps, across the top of your shoulders. Grip the bar and pull down. That will tense up everything in your back. Comfortable breath, squeeze your abs. Done, rigid torso. From here, move your feet into a spot where you can go straight down. Don't lean over and get your chest low. Use your hips and knees to go straight down. For some people, it might look a lot of knees. Other people, it might look like a lot of hips. Torso rigid, really deep. That's what we're trying to look for in this back squat. As deep as you can and getting up out of that hole. So even foot pressure, those things I mentioned on the torso, and then using your hips and knees to go straight down. That should work out well for you. And that's the back squat. So, the dead stop row, very similar to a deadlift. What you're doing is you're holding a deadlift and then doing an upright row. So some differences, you can elevate the bar to make that position feel quite easy for you. Also, you can go for an underhand grip. Generally that works, this is what we want. We want to work those lats quite well, have the shoulders low and sweeping in close. Try out that underhand grip, particularly for me, that doesn't work too well. It's a lot more comfortable for me to go here, and I'm pretty good at squeezing and using those back muscles anyway. So if you're struggling to feel this, you might be rowing up like that. Try underhand, and go for exactly the same thing. Shins, you want to have pretty much pointed up straight, and the bar, you want to aim between your belly button and your sternum. So if you're hitting somewhere in there, pretty much, you should be in the right spot. Key part, make sure you're braced fully before each one, and then you reset that as well. Don't do this. Don't want to see that, brace fully. Each rep, make it perfect. Elevating that. Yeah, that's pretty much it for everything. Again, just make sure it's a comfortably deep position for you. Now we're working on the push-up as a main lift. And the reason for this, like a lot of people, it's a really nice way to see if you're getting stronger. You do it all the time, so let's focus on it. Main components for the technique. For your hand width, you want it a bit wider than your rib cage. If you go out wider, it works your chest muscles more. If you go in closer, it works your triceps more. The angle that we want to see is about, not 45, probably 60 degrees, somewhere around there. It's a little bit flared out, but it should look good. Okay, so shoulders locked down, posture's really nice, and that's sort of, you're making an arrow with your torso. That's what you should see. If you want to work your chest muscles a little bit more, go a bit wider. If you want to work your triceps a bit more, those arm muscles, come in a bit closer. Really, generally, you will most likely need to go wider. Generally, yeah? So, for the variations that we're going to use and the way to make it harder, first one is elevating it. So we're going to use the rig for this and set it up to the height that works well for you. The last thing, technique on the push-up. So that's the position, but as you're doing it, lock your body straight. If you're elevated here, you're just resting your legs on the ground, lock your shoulders down, squeeze through your abs, and you want to maintain that as you bend your arms. Don't move your shoulders. A lot of people do this. They'll go down and then they'll sort of and push up and move through their arms. You want to lock everything in a position, and it's just your arms. It feels weird. It feels like you're not doing much. That's what we want. Oh, and the last one. Your sternum touches between your hands. So elevate it up on here or the floor, sternum touches between. So that's a lot of technique, but generally your whole body stays stiff and you just move your arms up and down. That's pretty much it. Feel out that position. Elevated, the higher it is, the easier it is. Play around with what works for you, measure it by coming up next to it and going, oh, okay, for the 10 reps that we have, my thigh height, pocket height, that's working out best. That's how you'll actually track it as we go through. There's some other ways to be able to make it harder. Push it harder, you go lower, say to the floor. This is the one resistance. The cool thing with the rig is you can change it, and like by each height you go up, that is now a different load. It's like going up by 5 or 10 kilos on your squats. Go from the floor if that's the perfect load for you. And what that looks like is, say there's 10 reps, every single one of those 10 reps is with your body straight, shoulders locked down, sternum touching between hands, and you're coming back up. If that works out well for you, awesome, you might try with a plate on your back. Get a plate on your back, roll it behind you, you'll sit down on your heels, roll it behind you, and you'll sort of lift it up onto your back. If you've got a friend there that's able to help you, try that out, but have it on your low back. Don't go on your shoulders. Then, when you're in all fours like this, you just wiggle around until you're in your push-up, all the same positions and technique. And try that out. The reason for that on your shoulders will affect your push-up. It sort of makes your shoulders move a little bit weird, doesn't quite work. It's out of the way there, and it'll also get you stronger at holding that plank position. Once you're done, whoop, and just make sure nobody's walking past you when you do that. But that's the way to progress your push-ups.